Your employees work from home, cafes, airports, on personal devices. Your applications live in the cloud. The network perimeter is gone. Identity has replaced it. Active Directory transformed how organizations managed identity on-premises. But the cloud changed everything. Microsoft Entra ID is how identity works in a cloud-first world. In today's digital world, identity has become the new security perimeter. So what is Microsoft Entra ID? It is Microsoft's cloud-based identity and access management service. It helps organizations authenticate users, control access to applications, and protect resources in cloud-first and hybrid environments. Traditional security relied on office networks and on-premises systems. If you were inside the network, you were trusted. That model no longer works. Employees now work from anywhere. Applications live in the cloud. Data moves constantly. The network can no longer protect access. What remains constant is identity. Every sign-in starts with the same question. Who is requesting access, and should it be allowed? Microsoft Entra ID exists to answer that question. By verifying identity, evaluating context, and securing access at scale. In this video, we will learn what Microsoft Entra ID is and how it fits into modern IT. Why identity matters more than ever in cloud-first environments. The key capabilities of Microsoft Entra ID and what problems it solves. How Microsoft Entra ID is different from Active Directory. Where Microsoft Entra ID is used in real-world scenarios. A brief overview of Microsoft Entra ID licensing. And finally, why learning Microsoft Entra ID is important for today's IT professionals. Chapter 1. Understanding what is Microsoft Entra ID. Microsoft Entra ID is Microsoft's cloud-based identity and access management service. It acts as the central identity system for modern organizations. It helps manage users, control access to applications, and secure identities across cloud, hybrid, and on-premises environments. Unlike traditional directory services, which were built for internal networks, Microsoft Entra ID is designed for a distributed world, a world where users, devices, and applications exist everywhere. It works consistently, whether resources are hosted in Azure, delivered as SaaS applications, or connected to on-premises infrastructure. If you are familiar with Azure Active Directory, Microsoft Entra ID is its new name. But this is more than a rebranding. It reflects Microsoft's broader vision. Identity as a foundational security layer. Entra ID is part of the Microsoft Entra family, bringing identity, permissions, and governance together under modern zero-trust principles. At its core, Microsoft Entra ID answers three fundamental questions. Who are you? Authentication, verifying identity. What can you access? Authorization, determining permissions. Under what conditions? Security controls, evaluating context, risk, and behavior. By continuously evaluating these three dimensions, Entra ID moves security beyond static trust. Access is granted, not simply because a user exists, but because security requirements are met at the moment of access. This makes Microsoft Entra ID a cornerstone of modern cloud security and a critical service for organizations operating beyond traditional network boundaries. Chapter 2. Why identity matters more than ever. Traditional security models were built on a simple assumption. Anything inside the corporate network could be trusted. Firewalls, VPNs, and internal controls created a clear boundary between inside and outside. Once users crossed that boundary, they were often trusted, with minimal additional checks. That assumption no longer holds true. Modern IT environments are highly distributed. Employees work remotely or in hybrid setups. They access corporate resources from home networks, personal devices, and public connections. Applications are no longer hosted only on internal servers. They are delivered as cloud-based services, and data flows constantly between users, devices, and cloud services that may never touch a traditional corporate network. At the same time, organizations face growing risks. Remote and hybrid work, cloud-based SaaS applications, bring your own device environments, and increasing identity-based attacks, phishing, credential theft, and token abuse. In this environment, the network perimeter has effectively disappeared. Attackers no longer need to breach a firewall. If they compromise an identity, they gain access. Identity has become the primary attack surface, and therefore, the primary defense. This shift changes how security must be designed. Instead of trusting users based on where they connect from, modern security continuously verifies who is requesting access, what they are trying to access, and under what conditions access should be allowed. Microsoft Entra ID is designed to support this identity-first, zero-trust approach. It enables consistent access controls, real-time risk evaluation, and security policies based on identity and context, not network location. In a world where boundaries are fluid and threats are persistent, securing identity is no longer optional. It is essential. Chapter 3: Key Capabilities of Microsoft Entra ID. Microsoft Entra ID provides a comprehensive set of identity and access management capabilities designed for modern, cloud-first environments. These capabilities work together to manage identities securely, control access to resources, and reduce the risk of unauthorized access. Let's look at the most important ones. User and group management. Microsoft Entra ID allows organizations to manage identities centrally. This includes users, cloud-only users, or users synchronized from on-premises Active Directory. It also includes security groups, Microsoft 365 groups, and guest users for external collaboration. Once created, these identities can be used consistently across Microsoft services and thousands of third-party applications. This central approach simplifies identity lifecycle management and ensures access policies are applied uniformly. Authentication and sign-in. Microsoft Entra ID authenticates users when they sign in to applications and services. This includes Microsoft 365, Azure services, SaaS applications, and custom enterprise apps. To support modern applications, Entra ID uses industry-standard protocols such as OAuth 2.0, OpenID Connect, and SAML. These enable secure, token-based authentication and move away from legacy, password-only sign-ins. Multi-factor authentication, MFA. Passwords alone are no longer enough. Microsoft Entra ID supports multi-factor authentication. MFA requires an additional factor, such as something you know, something you have, or something you are. By requiring multiple factors, MFA dramatically reduces the risk of account compromise, even if a password is stolen. Conditional access. Conditional access is one of the most powerful features of Microsoft Entra ID. It allows organizations to enforce access policies dynamically. Policies can be based on user identity, device compliance, location, application, or risk level. For example, requiring MFA from untrusted locations, blocking high-risk sign-ins, or allowing access only from compliant devices instead of static rules. Conditional access evaluates context in real time. Single sign-on SSO. With Microsoft Entra ID, users sign in once and access multiple applications. Single sign-on improves user experience, boosts productivity, and reduces password reuse. For IT teams, SSO simplifies application onboarding and centralizes access control. Role-based access control, RBAC, administrative access, is managed through roles instead of full admin rights. Specific roles are assigned, such as user administrator or security administrator. Each role grants only the permissions required. This follows the principle of least privilege and reduces security risk. Together, these capabilities make Microsoft Entra ID a foundational service for securing identities, enforcing access controls, and supporting modern cloud and hybrid environments. Chapter 4: Microsoft Entra ID versus Active Directory. Many organizations still rely on on-premises Active Directory to manage users, devices, and internal access, while Active Directory and Microsoft Entra ID sound similar. They are designed for very different environments. Understanding this difference is essential in modern IT. Core difference in design. Active Directory was built for a different era. Applications lived inside corporate networks. Devices were domain-joined and physically managed. Security was enforced at the network level. Microsoft Entra ID is built for today's reality. Cloud-hosted applications, internet-based authentication, remote and mobile users, identity-driven security. In simple terms, Active Directory is network-centric. Entra ID is identity-centric. Authentication and access. Active Directory authenticates users within a trusted network boundary. Once inside, users often gain broad access to internal resources. Entra ID authenticates users over the internet. Before granting access, it evaluates context, location, device status, and sign-in risk. This enables granular and adaptive access control. Devices and applications. Active Directory works best with Windows domain-joined computers and on-premises applications. Entra ID supports cloud-managed and hybrid devices, SaaS applications, and modern authentication for custom apps. This makes Entra ID a better fit for cloud-first strategies. The hybrid identity model. Most organizations do not replace Active Directory overnight. Instead, they use a hybrid identity model. Active Directory manages local resources. Entra ID handles cloud authentication and access. In this model, user identities are synchronized to Entra ID. Users sign in with the same credentials on-premises and in the cloud. Organizations gain modern security without losing legacy compatibility. Hybrid identity acts as a bridge between traditional IT and cloud-native environments. Why this comparison matters. Active Directory is not designed to secure cloud applications. Microsoft Entra ID is not a cloud replacement for domain controllers. Each has a distinct role. Together, they form the backbone of identity management. In most enterprise environments today, for deeper fundamentals, explore the Active Directory tutorials. Chapter 5. Where is Microsoft Entra ID used? You are likely using Microsoft Entra ID already, even if you've never interacted with it directly. At its core, Microsoft Entra ID acts as the authentication and access backbone for many everyday services. Whenever a user signs in, Entra ID is often the system verifying identity and deciding whether access should be allowed. Microsoft Entra ID is commonly used with Microsoft 365 for email, collaboration, and document sharing. It's used with Microsoft Azure to control access to cloud resources and management portals. It secures access to Microsoft Teams, including meetings and guest collaboration. It protects content in SharePoint Online using identity-driven permissions, and it works with Microsoft Intune to enforce device compliance and access policies beyond Microsoft services. Entra ID integrates with thousands of third-party SaaS applications, platforms like Salesforce, ServiceNow, and Zoom. In these scenarios, Entra ID enables single sign-on, centralized access control, and consistent security policies across different vendors. What makes this powerful is simplicity. Users don't need separate usernames and passwords for every service. A single identity, managed in Entra ID, becomes the trusted entry point to multiple platforms. Even personal Microsoft accounts use many of the same identity concepts: authentication, security tokens, conditional checks, and access scopes. This shows how deeply identity services are embedded in modern digital life. In practice, Microsoft Entra ID works quietly in the background. Users simply sign in. Access is granted or denied. Behind the scenes, Entra ID continuously evaluates identity, context, and policy to keep access secure. Chapter 6. Microsoft Entra ID Licensing Brief Overview. Microsoft Entra ID is available in multiple licensing tiers. Each tier builds on the previous one, adding more control, security, and governance features. Entra ID Free. The free edition provides core identity services. It supports basic user management, authentication, and access to cloud applications for many small environments. This is enough to get started. Entra ID Premium P1. Premium P1 builds on the free edition. It adds features designed for modern enterprises. This includes conditional access, hybrid identity support, self-service password reset, and group-based access management. P1 is ideal for organizations that need stronger control over how and when users access resources, especially in hybrid or remote work environments. Entra ID Premium P2. Premium P2 includes everything in P1, plus advanced security and governance features. This includes identity protection to detect risky sign-ins and compromised accounts, and privileged identity management, or PIM, to provide just-in-time administrative access. P2 is designed for organizations with higher security, regulatory, or compliance requirements. Choosing the right license. The right Entra ID license depends on your environment, your organization's size, cloud-only or hybrid setup, security and compliance needs, and how much control you require over privileged access. Many organizations start with free or P1 and adopt P2 as their identity security matures over time. Chapter 7. Why learn Microsoft Entra ID? Learning Microsoft Entra ID is no longer optional for IT professionals. As organizations move to cloud and hybrid models, identity has become the foundation of security, access, and compliance. There are strong reasons to invest time in learning Entra ID. Identity skills are in high demand. Modern cyber attacks increasingly target identities, not infrastructure. Because of this, organizations are actively looking for professionals who understand identity-based security. Entra ID skills are in demand across enterprise IT, cloud operations, security teams, and consulting roles. Professionals with identity expertise are often involved in critical security decisions and long-term architecture planning. Central to Microsoft Cloud Security, Microsoft Entra ID sits at the center of the Microsoft Cloud ecosystem. It underpins access to Microsoft 365, Azure resources, endpoint management, and SaaS applications. Without identity, features like MFA, conditional access, and zero trust cannot function effectively. Understanding Entra ID means understanding how security works across the Microsoft Cloud, required for key IT roles. Entra ID is foundational knowledge for many modern roles: identity administrators, cloud administrators, security engineers. In real-world environments, identity teams work closely with cloud and security teams. This makes Entra ID a truly cross-functional skill. Core component of certifications. Microsoft Entra ID is a major focus of certifications, such as SC 300. Preparing for these certifications requires hands-on understanding of identity concepts, access controls, and security practices. Learning Entra ID supports both career growth and professional credentials. Long-term career value. Identity fundamentals do not become obsolete quickly. Skills like authentication, authorization, access governance, and security architecture remain relevant as technology evolves. By learning Entra ID, you build long-term skills that extend beyond Microsoft and support a career in cloud and cybersecurity. In this video, we explored Microsoft Entra ID, what it is, why identity matters more than ever, and how Entra ID powers secure access in modern cloud and hybrid environments. We saw how security has shifted from network boundaries to identity-driven controls, how authentication, access policies, and contextual signals Now decide who gets access to what and under which conditions. Microsoft Entra ID sits at the center of this transformation, securing users, devices, applications, and administrative access at scale. If you want to go deeper, there are many videos on the Bicus YouTube channel that explore Microsoft Entra ID in detail. These videos focus on hands-on learning, real configurations, real scenarios, and real-world use cases. You'll find the full list of Entra ID videos linked in the description below. Identity is no longer optional. It is the foundation of modern security. And learning Microsoft Entra ID is a step toward mastering cloud security, access control, and the future of IT. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.